I don't.
Come in if you want to listen, guys. Punch up. Come in if you want to listen.
You're better looking in real life, Ruth.
Okay, so I'm Ruth Cadbury. I'm Labour MP for Brentford and Isleworth in West London, and I didn't know the first thing about the loan charge until Lynn and Hester and some other people from my constituency came to talk to me and explain it to me in words of one syllable sometime at the end of in autumn last year, and I supported Ed Davey's amendment. Oh yeah, I supported Ed Davey's amendment to the finance bill, which the government accepted without a vote, which was very interesting. So immediately after that, we set up the all-party parliamentary group, which is, we're one of hundreds of all-party parliamentary groups. Hopefully, we're a task and finish group. In order to push on the government to really have a rethink on loan charge. I haven't yet met an MP of any party who hasn't had constituents contact them who are affected by the loan charge. This is massive. I think the Conservative figure is 50,000. I think it's an awful lot more. And it ranges from very different types of people in different sectors at different earnings levels. But it affects everybody really seriously, and the really scary thing is, at the moment, an awful lot of people don't even know they're affected by it, particularly people who worked in public services such as health and social work and so on. So we're down to have a debate. Is tomorrow Thursday? Right, yes. Okay. I forget what day it is sometimes. This place is so mad at the moment. But at the moment, we have a debate booked in the main chamber tomorrow, Thursday. Now, if the government take over the business, because it's a backbench business debate, but the government can overrule that and put debating time in for their business, i.e. Brexit at the moment. That is a worry. So it's not 100% sure it'll happen. If it does happen, who knows what time it'll happen, because it'll have to happen after other business. Business, the normal ministerial questions, the normal Andrea Ledson business questions. But then again, at the moment, we could have urgent questions, we could have ministerial statements, and we could have, as I say, a prime ministerial statement or something like that on Brexit. So, bring your sandwiches tomorrow, or have other things to do if you've got the telly on, because, as I say, it's no 100% certainty that it'll happen. Obviously, it'll be on Parliament TV, and you'll be able to follow it subsequently on Hansard and Parliament TV catch-up. So. I'm pretty sure a lot of MPs will put in to speak. Not everybody will be able to speak for very long, in order to because a lot of people want to mention their constituents. I hope the pressure of this will make the Treasury back down, because I think they've been led by the nose by HMRC, who've used behaviour science in a really negative way, have imposed something and sold it to the Chancellor. Look, it'll bring in X billion of tax, without actually thinking through the human consequences, but also the economic and financial consequences. Because I've talked to people who've effectively put their business on slow, who aren't investing, aren't employing people when they might be, and then there's worse consequences in terms of extreme depression and even, sadly, suicide. So, none of this is doing anybody any favours, and it was a badly thought out consequence of the unintended problems of IR 35 20 years ago. And it just shows a sheer misunderstanding by civil servants of how normal people and normal businesses operate. And I have to keep reiterating, we are not opposed to people paying their taxes, and I don't think you are. I haven't met any of you who are devious tax avoiders in the pejorative sense of the word. You all want to do the right thing.
Yes.
And you've been led by the nose, sometimes some of you for many years by HMRC, and been led to believe you were doing the right thing. Those of you who did ask the questions and check with accountants and so on. And then we've got a whole stack of people who don't even know they're in a loan scheme, or only just finding out. And with this, with the April the 5th deadline on Friday, we've got some real issues. So, we're looking to the government tomorrow to at least put a pause, put a 6-month pause, have a review, get an independent tax legal expert to look at this, and just admit that this was done badly. And that's what.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, shall I speak to Davey? First of all, thank you so much for coming again. Thank you for keep campaigning. I've got some bad news for you and some good news. The bad news is they're still not listening. The good news is we're not going away. I think the way they behaved, even since we got the change in the finance bill, frankly has been disgraceful. Still lots of misinformation. Still not willing to come and be questioned. Still not willing to engage with the reality that this was a breach of the rule of law and a breach of all we know about taxpayer protections that have been around for decades. So, just as Ruth said, no one's here to condone tax avoidance. What we are here today is to protect the rule of law and to protect what we knew to be the way taxpayers should have been treated. When we did our inquiry, there were two really telling moments for me. First, when we were talking to professionals, when one tax professional, when I asked the question, has there ever been a piece of tax legislation that has overridden long-standing taxpayer protections in the way that we've understood them? And the reply was no. In other words, it's the first time a government has ever taken this type of action. And that's why we're all angry on your behalves, and you are right to be angry for yourselves and your families and your friends. The second moment was when we were taking evidence from two ladies, I'm not going to obviously mention their names and you'll understand why in a second, whose father committed suicide, not because he actually owed a lot of money to the he could have paid it, but the way he was hounded by HMRC and the way he was made to feel. It was a guy who worked all his life as a professional, contributing to society, bringing up a family, and later on in his life, in his 60s, he was being hounded and made to feel like he was a criminal. And he'd been a strong person all his life, he'd been a family man, and he had felt that the way this was making him feel was too much. And it was a tragedy. We were all always in tears. And I wish the minister and the officials could have listened to that piece of evidence and read what they wrote, because it reflected in a very profound way what we've all heard from our constituents, what the low charge action group got from you and your colleagues about the impact it's having on many of you. I hope you're all trying to remain strong together. And what I would only say, and I said this last time, but I keep repeating it, we can't guarantee we'll be successful. So we don't want to raise hopes and expectations. All we can say is we're not going away. We're going to keep fighting this, because there's a massive issue of principle. I think constitutional principle.
It's fascist legislation.
And
it's fascist legislation.
When we are debating something like Brexit forever and ever and ever,
oh God,
and there is no agreement, and then at the same time, the same government is treating people like this in a way which brings all the parties together. We've got 5 political parties represented at that group.
6.
6, I beg your pardon. Any takers for more? We are fully representative, and the government isn't listening, and I find that deeply shocking. For my sins, I've been in this place for 22 years, bar 2 years in forced sabbatical when I lost my seat for a bit. So I've been here a long time. I have never seen a group of people treated so badly. And what gets our goat is when we know there are huge, large multinational corporations getting away with blue murder, and we all know they're getting away with it. And people like yourselves who were told that what you were doing was totally legal, totally above board, just getting on with your lives, and you're getting penalised. That is utterly wrong.
Yes.
So, and of course, respect. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us the encouragement. We're not going to give up the fight. Tomorrow, we'll publish our report. We'll have the backbench committee debate. Hopefully, yeah. Brexit and Mrs May and all the rest of it notwithstanding, we can't control what's happening at the moment, but hopefully we'll have the debate. And if we don't have it tomorrow, we'll have it another day, because we're not going away. I have to tell you, and I don't like doing this, the 5th of April is an important date.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know. I can't say we're going to get it delayed. And if we don't, bear in mind, actually what you have to do is have some communication with HMRC. You don't have to pay anything. Try and tell people that, because there are people in my position who worry they have to pay something from Friday. You don't. You have to have a communication with them. And don't be scared of doing that, because it can protect you. I can't give you legal advice, tax advice, so you might want to ignore what I've just said. However, all I'm saying is the reason why you might want to do that to protect yourselves, because between then and the 31st of January next year, when you would have to pay, we've got some time to try to put this right. So I want you to protect yourselves while giving us the time to put this right. And, you know, whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens when we have the debate, we are staying to keep fighting the fight. We'll be with you. Take some strength in that, and let's hope we can get some justice. Thank you very much. I don't know if you've got anyone else lined up. Might get a decent speaker.
You're doing well.
Can Mel come out?